do the 4. Perfect. Hi, I'm Alisa.
Hi, I'm Marge.
And welcome to the MediterrAsian podcast.
Yes, hi. For today, we'll be talking about the big 3-0, the big 30.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, we're going to talk about, of course, being 30s and a little flashbacks of our dreams and aspirations, and looking back if we have the same dreams and aspirations now, especially now that we are living in a not so normal way now or out of our comfort zones. As per usual, we prepared some questions to guide us through the conversations. Let's just jump right into it. First, let's talk about career, Ali. What was your biggest career dream in your 20s?
I never really had something specific in mind. I have to say that I always studied languages in my high school and also in my bachelor. Specifically, I studied language mediation and intercultural communication in Milano. And there, the dream or the career goal was to find something that was related to languages and also with administration. So there, the biggest obstacle or issue, no, not obstacle, more of an issue, would have been where to find a job that could combine both of them, because where I come from, by Maggiore Lake, the place is very touristic. So there's a lot of tourism and a lot of seasonal work. If I would have gone in a career in the direction of languages administration, it would have been much easier to find something in Milano, which at the same time was a city that I didn't really love. Every time when I was in my bachelor, every weekend.
Yeah, but that's the closest city to you.
Yeah.
You don't like it.
I mean, I'm biggest, very, very big.
Okay.
So definitely maybe other cities, but when I was thinking, okay, how does the future look like? I think Milano would have been the first option, because it gives a bit more opportunities to young people, in my experience, of course. At the same time, I have to say that I always had the photography passion in the background, but this always stayed just as a thought, a passion, a hobby. So I never really thought of pursuing something concretely with that, but it was always in the background. So it would have been nice to do something, but I knew that it was more of a hobby. And maybe because that was also something that I discussed in the past before starting my bachelor with my parents, I came to the conclusion, okay, maybe that's more of an hobby. Let's pursue something more concrete, right?
Yeah.
Once I moved to the Netherlands, of course, the question popped up again. So what did I want to do once I was older? Which kind of career and everything. And I started looking at, okay, what courses are there? And I started focusing more on the skills and specific subjects that every course taught. And based on that, I thought, okay, with this one, I can do something. This seems interesting, and then I will figure it out. Because already moving to the Netherlands, for me, was already a big step. And also, I would have used English already much more. So that already felt as something I achieved. So an achievement. Already using English was something that I would have done anyhow if I was working in Italy. That was still something that using languages anyhow would have been something that I wished. That was something that I looked at, and indirectly, like my life kind of went in this direction, where now I use languages, I use English on a daily basis, and
you still use intercultural communication?
A lot, yeah, exactly. So in one way or another, there was not really like, oh, I want to become this, but it's more like, okay, let's see where life brings me, but also based on the things I'm learning and my passions. What about you, Marsh?
To me, the biggest dream, I guess, it's the same as yours. Like when I was 20, I didn't really thought of anything of a dream or whatsoever. But when I was younger, like in high school, I really wanted to be a journalist. I really wanted to be a writer, but that's too a kind of a fairy tale, like being a writer, writing a book, being an author. I kind of knew that it's a bit far-fetched. So in my head, I wanted to be a journalist instead, somewhere in the media, somewhere behind the camera, doing the research or writing something more on about the news. When I realized as I was growing up that it's a bit harder than I thought. So I took university as a little bit too easy, because I'm like, I didn't get the chance to get what I wanted. I didn't took the study to be a journalist, because at that time it was not common, or at least it is common maybe for some kind of rich kind of people because you pay extra amount of money, you buy your own equipment, this and that, and at
It
that
was overall more prestigious.
yeah, it's more practical because again, it's not every. It's such a very specific job to get or career to take. But it's a little bit more harder to get through the process of that as well, because they wanted to be a teacher, sure, an engineer, sure, because there's a lot more options. There's a lot more universities that are offering those kinds of studies. But for journalism or for media specifically, it's very specific school, and usually they are private schools, so you either pay more to get there or whatsoever. When I was in my 20s, I really didn't have a specific thing in my head. The only thing that I wanted, I know, is I just wanted to be someone in a corporate setting. I just wanted to be a manager. I just wanted to be a head of, I don't even know what department I would want to be, but I just want to have my own office.
And the title.
And the title,
Part.
status, that. And I really wanted that, like, come into my office, the idea of lady boss kind of thing. I really like that in my head, but I don't know specifically, but it's more of a dream. It's a dream that I knew that it might not become a reality, but it's something that I really am fond of. Maybe it's from media, from television or whatsoever, but that's
Society.
yeah,
as
probably
well,
yeah,
culture.
especially the status, very very much in kind of close to that. I really like managing things anyway, a bigger kind of managerial position or idea of fixing things and whatnot. So I've always dreamed of doing that thing, same as you, as like
Yeah.
let's just see where it goes.
It's a dream. It's something that
Yeah.
in
I kind
this
of
direction.
know, yeah, I kind of know what I want or not want. So let's just let life do its job.
And Marsh, has your definition of success changed?
Yes, definitely. As you can see, when I was saying those words earlier that I wanted to have an office, I'm like, it sounds very juvenile and maybe small for some people, but at that time, that's the big thing in my mind. It's just the big idea in my head. Right now, I could honestly say I still care, but I don't care as much about the status, about the label. I think I could never be fully not care. It's just how I am built, and yeah, just how our society work and all that. But at least now I get to sleep at night knowing that I don't have to strive for to be ahead of punche punche. Yeah. And I really like that because now I am more focused on building a life outside of work, whatever that is, which I also like the idea that I'm passionate about so many things and it could change from one thing to another within days. And I like that idea. That to me, success now is really following what I want in that moment and actually privilege and opportunity to do whatever I want. Of course, there are still things that I cannot do because I still need to earn money. I still need to pay mortgage and bills and whatnot. But the idea that, I don't know, if I wanted to learn how to edit videos this weekend, I can do that because I am not anymore locked in the idea that, hey, you need to be a manager of this particular position, so all my energy will have to be on that goal alone. Nothing else matters. Now I really like the idea that, today I would like to learn how to paint. In 2 weeks, I would like to learn how to speak Spanish. I don't know. But to me, success is that time that you can just put somewhere that you really like at that moment. Sounds vague.
Learning new things as well,
Yeah.
and put them add them to your toolbox, let's say.
Yeah, that's what I think. Success to me is like not knowing one thing and be expert on a specific thing. I wanted to know so many things. I don't have to be an expert, but at least I know parts of this and that. And I think that is success to me, if that's not too vague.
No, it makes super sense.
All right. And how about for you? How is the definition of success?
My definition of success, the idea of success for me has always been having a good job, especially after you study for so many years. So something that you studied for and something that you like and that fulfills you, where you can grow. And of course, that makes you happy, allows you to live a decent life, a good life. I don't think the core definition changed, but living in the Netherlands, especially in the last years, I can see that in this country, mental well-being, rest, and putting yourself first is definitely something that is very important. And that added to the definition of success. So it is important that also your mental health comes first, as well as you and your rest. So it's not only work, but that's also an important part for you to be successful. So definitely moving to the Netherlands did change my definition slightly for me to realize this. It's not always easy because you grow up with a certain idea of success, right? So that's only that, and everything else comes second. But now this is kind of changing and is switching.
Yeah, I think it's the same, exactly the same for me, because that's also why I'm having a hard time describing what success for me now, because Netherlands has changed my perspective in life. Because if I still live in the Philippines, I would still have the same standard that I wanted to be this particular person for this particular company. And I'm going to be working 40, 50 hours a week. That's just how it is, the culture and everything. That's just how they measure success. But when I moved here, as what you have mentioned, it definitely changed you a bit, because they are really focused on who you are and how to take care of yourself. Mental health is a top priority. Everybody keeps on telling you, like, you're working too hard, you have to take care of yourself and all of that. And I think that's why I'm struggling now to define what success is, coming from a bit of an extreme kind of culture to now you have this super chill kind of culture. You're like still in between what does success define for me. So yeah, that's also why it's a bit vague.
And it doesn't come so natural yet.
No.
So it's also something that you really need to put effort into.
Yeah.
To really switch your mindset towards, I would say, this mindset that's healthier, I would say.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
It.
You have to have the time and the privilege to actually do that. Because in the Philippines, I don't think I would ever think of that, because everybody's doing it. So I don't think there's a problem.
Yeah.
But when I get out of it, you can actually take a step back and see, like, oh, actually, I have time to think of this and that. So
exactly. And I think also here what is important is not only what you do, but how you do it. Because you can work 50 hours a week, right? Mm-hmm. But if you are super stressed, your team or other people notice that, and you are not so productive as you think you are.
Also, the output is not really, not quality at all.
So also being relaxed and expressing that and showing that to people, being happy and less stressed, that's also has a huge, a bigger impact than we think.
Yeah. So now we're talking about, touch base a bit about our life in the Netherlands now. Does this change how you look into your ambitions? Are you more or less ambitious now?
When I was looking at this question, I have to say that I think I am ambitious, and I think I'm more ambitious now, or maybe moving to the Netherlands unlocked that potential. I'm not 100% sure which one is which, but definitely now I feel like in the Netherlands there's much more opportunities. In my experience, much more than the place where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I don't say full country, but definitely where I'm from. At the time I was studying and I was there was not much for young people, or not as much as I experienced here when I moved here. So it feels like really in the Netherlands for people of every age, so not only for young people, but there's so many opportunities, and it makes you feel that sky's the limit. So as soon as you have a good idea or you are ambitious enough, there's so much that you can do. So there's much more activities, much more. Also by just networking, you can get to know of so many opportunities out there that I would have never thought
you would have
possible in Italy. Yeah, exactly. So definitely, I think from this experience, I can say that I do feel ambitious, and maybe more than I would have been staying in Italy, definitely. And how do you see your ambition now?
I am kind of the same as what you're trying to say, and I truly get it when you said it's a bit vague, because I don't know, I really think I am still the old ambitious that I am. I still want to be more and go get something more, or I don't know, I just want to do something that would impact me on a bigger scale. But when I moved to the Netherlands, I guess the biggest change for me is the ambition now is more focused on me and what I wanted. Because before, the ambition is to get this status, to get this label. For what? For praises, maybe?
To show friends or
to
family
show off.
or
Yeah.
your village.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you are in this particular position, it means you have more money, you can afford things. I don't know. But I think now I'm still very, very ambitious, but indeed more of like myself. As you said, the Netherlands is so full of opportunities that sometimes you're kind of overwhelmed that where to start.
Yes, so sometimes it's also that feeling.
And it's because it's really the culture is really cheering you on to do something that you love or whatever it is, because they don't care about the job. They were like, oh, you have a job, prima. What do you want to do during the weekends? What do you like to do as an interest or a hobby? They care more about these things. That part, I'm very much ambitious because now I wanted to do so much. I wanted to learn so much. And my ambition now is to extract and absorb more from the outside rather than just putting things from me without even actually thinking about it. You just want to produce and produce and produce. My ambition is to extract and absorb more of the world and what it can offer than the automatic comments or set standard that the society has already put in place.
Yeah, I think eventually it is something that is ingrained in your character, in how you've been wired. But it's nice that you are doing this switch from giving more importance to what society thinks, so people around you, than what you think for yourself. So
I think the biggest, just to make it a little bit more simpler, because I feel like I'm so all over the place with the vague idea of ambition. It's just that my ambition now is not box in a career. As simple as that. It's not box in a job, in a career, or whatsoever. My ambition now is to grow as a person, no matter if it's something personal or career, professional, it doesn't matter. I am now, like, the box has been opened. That kind of thing. So it's not anymore about careers. It's not about the amount of salary you receive. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you have actually gone a layer deeper.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. That's what we're trying to do, trying to make sense of all of this. Yeah.
So staying on the deep side, Marge, the next topic that we want to discuss today is biological clock. So yeah, that's a big one. When you were in your 20s, what do you think your 30s would look like?
Well, it's like the dream job in my head. I finished marketing management. So in my head, I will be a marketing head, chief marketing head, because also when I was in internship for a marketing company, I see our chief marketing officer. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be like him. That's in my head how my 30s would look like, because he's in his 30s. He has his own office. This is very juvenile thinking maybe, but I just really want to be a manager or an executive at a corporate setting in an own office and helping people if they have questions and strategizing the business and whatnot. So something that is important kind of job for that specific company. I'm not trying to change the world, I'm not planning to be a doctor or a surgeon or something like that. I thought my 30s would be very, very career-based, career-oriented kind of life. I never thought of life outside of work, which is odd. But
so the focus was mostly on work. Yeah, that's my everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so
your
in the 30s,
everything.
In my 30s,
you should be working.
That's the biggest part of my life, if not...
that's it. The life outside of career, if we're going to talk about outside of work, outside of career, I really thought 30s would be like 20s, but with money. That's it.
Simple, but that's...
Because I grew up with 3 older siblings. I saw them graduate. I saw them getting their first jobs. And we all still live in one house. So in my head, I can just do my own thing. I don't pay rent. I don't pay food because, parents our parents took care of that. So I'm like, it really feels like you're in your 20s, but you don't think of money. The only time that my siblings went out of the house is when they are going to get married. And I feel like 30s, it's not like necessarily have to get married or whatever. So I was way too chill in my 20s. I'm like, I see my siblings. They're fine. They just have money. I ask money from them, actually. So I know that they have money. 30s is like 20s with money.
Yeah. Also pretty chill, right? Especially if you still live at home and everything. So that's
So yeah, I don't have a specific
there's
view
not-
what 30s looks like besides on what I saw. Monkey see, monkey do, they say, right? So what about you, Ali? What do you think your 30s would look like?
Can I start by saying that I can't believe that we're 30. I mean, we just entered this decade, so we have still plenty of time to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel I'm in my early 20s. I still need to do so many
21.
things and learn so many things.
21.
Yes. Just after 20s. And I know that we are not the only one feeling like that. Like, there's a lot of people around me, a lot of friends. And I have to say that there's a lot of friends that are also getting pregnant, getting kids. And a few people that I spoke to, and they were like, oh, I still feel like it's a teenage pregnancy, but actually I'm over 30. And that's how you feel. It's like, where did the time go, right?
Yeah.
I think that in general, my picture of what I was picturing in my 20s, how my 30s would look like, and we still plenty of time still. Looking at my parents, taking them as my role model. Definitely, you have a marriage, you have moving out, buying a house, starting having children. Of course, having a good job that allows you to
Live.
live a good life. So that's definitely in my 20s. That's the picture that I had in my 30s. And sometimes I still think, oh wow, my parents had this, and I still feel like I'm still in my 20s. When I was younger, looking at people that were 30s, I was thinking, oh damn, they are so old. And now I'm in my 30s, and I'm like,
We're not even close to it. No.
was it? I think that probably they were feeling the same.
Yeah.
But looking
At
back,
that
I mean, the
moment,
eyes
yeah.
of a child, then that's totally different, right?
So now we're talking about the biological clock. What is the biological clock that you have in Italy or the Philippines, if there's any, like as you have mentioned, getting married, buying a house, having kids, etc., versus what you have noticed here in the Netherlands?
I think that the expectation is that being in your 30s means building a family, having children.
All the works, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. That is what I grew up with. And coming from a very family-oriented culture, Italy, this is really part of the pressure that you have on you when you grow up and when you reach a certain age, or this kind of
Threshold, I don't know.
yes, sort of threshold indeed. That is definitely something that I do feel still.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you cannot just delete
No.
and erase. Of course, I don't think that is much different in other countries, or at least not European countries. So also I think in the Netherlands, pretty much similar. But I do think that things are changing in the last few years. So there's less pressure on 30s. You should have already a child, or you should begin. Because I now live in the Netherlands, I'm much more connected to the culture here, because I'm here every day. So that's what you are connected to, much more than in Italy. What I see here is that you pretty much find people that either have children in their 20s or in their 30s. It doesn't matter. It also doesn't matter if you decide to have children or not.
Yeah.
So that's much more accepted in that sense. And I didn't feel any pressure of people asking. Here is much more okay. I believe because it's a society that is much more individualistic. Compared to Italy, that whatever you like to pursue, your dreams, your aspirations, whether you want to have kids or not, that's okay. Like here,
that's you. That's
whatever
your
you want to
decision.
be, whoever you want to be, whatever job you want to have. That's okay. So here is really not a problem. So there's much less judgment than from a culture that is much more family oriented.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that's what I experienced. What about you, Marsh?
From a very young age in my culture, your life is kind of already planned. Don't get me wrong, it's not anyone's fault. It's just how culture works, you know? There's a checklist that anyone should follow, or there's a guideline that everyone should follow. So first is you finish school, you get a degree. I know here in the Netherlands or in the Western, you get to choose if you just stop in high school, but in the Philippines or in Asia, I think in general you have to have a degree, and then you have to get a stable job that is based on your degree. So at a very young age of 16, you should already know what you wanted to pursue for your entire life, because that's the job that you're gonna get. And then
I have to say that Italy is pretty much similar.
yeah.
Now that you mention these things,
Yeah. So of course, after you get a job, you find a girl or a guy that's of course gonna be with you, and then you get married and then have kids and eventually get a house. That's where the point that you can say, oh, I'm settled. once you have all of those.
You tick those boxes.
Yes, exactly. In terms of biological clock, usually in the Philippines, maybe when women are approaching 30s, maybe around 27, 28, that's where you kind of have a talk about all those boxes that I have just recently mentioned. So if you are 28-year-old girl or woman in the Philippines, you feel a lot of pressure from outsider gonna ask you questions like, when are you gonna get boyfriend? If you do, when are you gonna get kids? Why don't you have a boyfriend? Why don't you have kids yet? This and that. So there's the amount of pressure from outsiders without even asking, do you want to have a boyfriend? Do you want to have
first place
kids? No, it's always the question of when, not...
It's taken for granted.
Yeah,
it's part of the culture.
Yeah, it was never an option for you to say, no, I don't want that. Never an option. And if you do have a boyfriend, then people will still ask the same questions over and over, but now you have someone, I guess, to answer those questions.
Are you gonna get a little one?
Yes, yeah, exactly. There's just always another box to tick. It's endless, really. Here in the Netherlands, when I moved here when I was 26. To be honest, when my boyfriend and I met, I was 21, so we were together for quite so long, and I still receive a lot of questions back home, even about when are we gonna have kids and how our children would look like.
Oh wow, that's next level.
Yes, because they always have this idea and impression that mixed culture is always, pretty, or always just have some very different, unique features that would stand out. So I especially when people back home, they knew that I am with a white guy. So it's always just like, hey, when are you gonna have kids? Oh, they're gonna be so cute, this and that. So it's always like, okay, but nobody asked me if I wanted to have kids or if I wanted to get married, for example.
I don't think it's in the radar.
No, I don't think it's in the radar, because again, the culture is just established the way it is. So when I moved to the Netherlands, I was actually ready for those questions, because I'm 26. So I'm ready from the many, many years of training in the Philippines. I am ready to answer those questions.
So you expected all those coming your way?
I am ready. Yes, I am ready to answer them the way I answered in the Philippines. But I was actually humbled immediately that nobody asked. And in my head, I took it a little bit on the negative side. Maybe it's just how I function. I took it in a negative side, and I also thought that, oh, they're not interested in me. They don't ask questions about our relationship. It's not something that is interesting for some people.
So your head immediately went to, okay, there must be something wrong.
Yeah, indeed, there must be something wrong that they are not interested, because coming from the extreme questions to zero, it was very odd for me. Yeah, it is a jump, because I would be ready for some questions, or maybe same level amount of questions, but for zero, I was not ready for that.
I think you were ready to get pissed at people.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, I'm tired of answering these questions.
They always ask those questions, and now it's like, I can't say that. No.
And then I realized really that it's just the way they are. It's just their way of giving you your privacy, letting you have your own boundaries, and not it's also setting the tone that, hey, whatever it is, it's your decision. It's not that I'm not part of your decision, or you don't have to consider me. This is for you. This is about you. And I think, it took some time, but I just realized it like, oh yeah, it's just very odd that they're not asking, but then there's a reason behind it.
I think it comes down to the characteristics of the culture. That again, is more individualistic, and whatever you choose to do is fine. It's fine with them. You touched already a bit upon on the next question, which is, whenever you come home to Philippines, do you get asked about these standards? And if so, how do you respond? And do you get asked here in the Netherlands about those standards?
Yes. So first, it's in the Philippines. Yes, I do get asked a lot, even to this day. A lot. But no, I don't feel pressured. I understand now that it's just the culture. It's just how the society works in the Philippines versus in the Netherlands. And that's just how we are. And I think I also have become confident in myself, into what I know what I want, and I know what I am. And I think as long as the people that are very close to me, the people that I love, knows me and knows what I want, because I've always been straightforward with that. For example, I knew that kids is not part of my future, and I it's just my choice, and I knew that the people that I love, my family and my friends, knew that. So I am confident enough, no matter what questions strangers ask me, it's not gonna shock me in a sense, because I know that the people that I heavily rely on to gets it.
But do people ask you these questions even though they already asked this question in the past?
Yes,
So
definitely.
even though they know your
Yes.
answer, they still ask
Yes.
you. Okay.
Because I really think they do believe that it's just a phase. Yeah, I hear that even to this day, even friends that are my age that have kids, they ask me like, when are you gonna have kids? I just always smile and say like, guys, you know my answer to this. Yeah, but it's more of like, have you changed your mind? Because you know you're gonna change your mind. But I just how
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Sometimes not.
so sometimes I just respond because I really don't want to put an emphasis on that, because having kids or deciding to have kids doesn't define who I am or my worth. So I don't want to over explain things. I already said that it's not part of my plan. Take it as what you want. But to me, that's just my reality. And I just always respond with, yeah, no, still no, or whatever, whatever that could just stop the conversation. It's not that I'm uncomfortable. It's not that I am uncomfortable for them asking.
But it's more, why is it so important?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
It's more
like
of
you
like,
already asked me, you know my answer.
yes.
Why you need to, why is it so important
Exactly.
for you?
Yeah.
You know?
So when even with my friends now that I have mentioned that, hey, I'm about to go home, let's have a celebration and whatnot, and they said like immediately, Marge, when are you gonna have kids? When are we gonna celebrate your kid's birthday or the christening or whatsoever? Okay, I'm trying to really understand that from their end, because maybe I was like that too. I don't know. Their end, that is the set standard. That is the set guidelines that they follow. So whatever it is that is outside of that, it's alien to them. Kind of learn how to navigate that. In the Netherlands, I don't feel any pressure at all. As of what you have mentioned, it's just, yeah, it is a very individualistic country, so or society or culture. It heavily support whatever you want, whatever it is that you decide. We don't have a say in it, and the society gets it, that they don't have a say in it. They don't have any contributions to it or whatsoever. And I think a very extreme kind of two societies, because at some point you know where the Filipinos are coming from. It's just coming from a good place that, they want you to have kids because they know that kids will make you happy, or having this kind of fulfillment. But on the other side, you wanted them to understand that this is not my happiness. For the Netherlands, they are too chill. That is like, can you please kind of help me? How do I navigate the new culture and whatever? And yet they give you like, well, you do what you want, because this is a very individualistic culture. You have at it.
Everybody is busy with themselves.
Yeah,
a bit more.
exactly. This is
Not
busy.
always, but yeah, that's a bit more the general. It's okay. Do what you want. Do
Yeah.
what you like.
So you can take it as
How
if
you want it.
Yeah, you can also take it in two different tones. It's like, you know what, you can do whatever you want. This is a free country.
Everything is possible. Again, like sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can do it in a different tone, like, yeah, do whatever you want. It sounds so negative, but then again, it's also how you would perceive it. And sometimes I would perceive it right in the middle, because sometimes I still need a guidance from someone, and yet you won't get a guidance because everyone's again busy with their own lives. So you have to do you.
So the Netherlands is a very good country for you not to get asked that question, especially for somebody that, as you mentioned, like for you, kids are not in the picture. I'm happy like this, and yeah, I'm like, I answered these questions so many times.
Yeah, but also I don't even think about it. In the Netherlands, I don't think about this, or I don't need to mentally prepare when you have family
Also less
gatherings.
pressure, yeah.
You don't have to, because you know that they will never ask these questions.
I think for when it comes to Italy, is also there. I never, both Italy and the Netherlands, I didn't get any question not so many questions over the year, I must say, or not as much as I would expect. So that's also interesting. The moments where I got, or you talk about it, is more with friends when you are maybe in a relationship or you're in a certain phase of your life, and then you kind of wonder, oh, who's the next one that is gonna get married or getting children or so on. So it's more talking about it with friends in that regard, or maybe it comes out like, oh, so when are you having kids, but not as relatives or anybody or strangers, let's say, or people that you're not so friends with or whatever.
These are just people that having the same
In your
face
circle,
as
yeah,
you. Yeah,
exactly. So and also in the Netherlands, I haven't gotten the question, or besides, indeed, when you're with friends talking about who's gonna be next. But I think the pressure comes more inside, pressure that has been built by type of society that where I grew up in, where indeed you ask yourself, okay, what's next, and do you see children in your life? And so asking those questions more internally than having to answer questions externally towards others.
Yeah. So now let's deep dive a bit into a trendy or pop culture kind of society right now. So how do you feel about authenticity in social media? Has it become easier or harder, especially now that we're 30?
Well, I think, Mars, that we are stuck between two currents. One that pushes us towards more unpolished content, more genuine, more authenticity. But at the same time, the old current, I would say, where in social media you see everybody's lives and those lives are perfect, ideal life. There are these two currents, and on top of that, there's also the boost that AI gave to social media. So where also there is content that is AI generated nowadays, and it looks perfect. So there is on some social media you can find both the unpolished content and the perfect, that even too perfect because made of AI. Because we grew up with social media and developed alongside that, I think the pull towards the real content, the real stuff, the craving for genuinity is definitely there, and is also increasing for people in our age. So we do know that life is not always perfect, that the content that is on social media is not always perfect, and we crave for that. And it's becoming a need, definitely. Yeah. But it's not as easy because we still have that old patterns of, oh, if I put something on Instagram of the 10 photos that I took, I need to take the best one.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't say that's become easier. I think our generation is still adjusting to it. And I think I'm also still adjusting to it. It's not so easy to post whatever I have in my camera roll or whatever pops to my mind, but it's always a bit polished. It is becoming more comfortable to post something less polished. So instead of polishing it 100%, 80% or maybe 70%. So it's something it's a process, I would say. And what do you think, Marge?
I think it's both, but in totally different aspects. It has become harder in a sense that social media were supposed to connect people and more of just sharing whatever you like. Just this is my passion, this is my interest, this makes me happy, I'll share it to the world. That kind of thing. That's how social media, at least for me in my head before. Now, most of it are all about the numbers. People care so much about the numbers. How many followers you got? Are you verified? How many likes did you get? How many views did you get? And so much people are getting their worth from that. And don't get me wrong, it's not anyone's fault. It's just that the society right now is all about numbers. And the social media has changed drastically this past few years because of that. The more watch or eyes is on your profile or on your video or whatever content it is, your value increases. So yeah, I think everything now is linked with numbers. And also one of the things that makes social media harder, at least for me, I think everything is now about business. The society now encourages you that if you are good at something, you can make a profit out of it immediately. So the whole idea of just sharing something that you love, something that interests you.
It's not about pleasure.
It's not about anymore. It's about profiting out of it. And don't get me wrong, because economy is like super bad right now and I truly get it. But on the other hand, it become easier in a sense that you don't need to be critical about yourself. As you said, we can only just give 70 and then I will just give 70. And I think we now understand that people are just busy watching themselves. And I think being 30s, you kind of get to see that, because also for yourself, you kind of love yourself a little bit more. So it also reflects on the content that you produce and the content that you attract. And I think the world is much more forgiving now. The world is much more understanding of who you are. And I think it's just the whole idea that people are just people. It become easier in a sense in terms of authenticity. And I think, as you have mentioned, being 30s, so we always have this perfectionist, critical thinking we have embedded in our blood, in our wiring, that it needs to be polished at all times. But I think right now we're learning, as you have mentioned, we're learning
unlearning to do that.
Learning and unlearning how to do that, and or how to balance it.
And Marsh, next question: do you ever think that we are too old to do or experience things in today's age? And is there any example that you can give us?
No, definitely no. I don't think so. And also personally, I think I have an old soul, because I always like older things. I grew up in a big family and everyone is older than me. So again, monkey see, monkey do. Whatever my brothers or my dad or everyone around me likes, I kind of adopt or kind of like pick whatever.
Mimic what they're doing.
Yeah, indeed. So when I turned 30, I was super excited actually to be old or to be called old, because finally, for example, my taste in music finally kind of matched my age, or my how I dress finally match my age. You know, I don't thrive to be on top of the current trend in terms of music, how I dress, or whatever. No, I don't think we are definitely too old about for doing certain things. But I think 30 is a chapter of chances, really. You are smarter, you are a bit more, you have more wisdom.
Yeah, you are more independent.
Yes, you're more independent. And I honestly think that being 30s, you become more courageous. That even though you don't like a specific music genre, you would still go to the concert just to give it a try. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't like...
Much more than in your 20s.
Yes, much more in 20s. Because in your 20s, you think that the best band that you like is the best band ever. You're a bit stubborn because you now, I have my taste, I know my taste.
Everybody else sucks.
Yeah. And then now that I'm 30, I think it's much more courageous that I'm like, you know what? I've never liked, for example, I've never liked techno, but I will go to a techno festival because of connections. I would like to go with people that I like or whatsoever, and then see how it goes. I think it's more of like that. I kind of took being 30 as not a frame of old or young. It's more of the courage from within to do more things. Because again, 20s with money, in a sense. So I can go to festivals in my decision. I don't have to ask for my parents if they would let me or whatnot. I can go and just try new things. That's basically how I see it. But do you have any examples if we're too old for something?
No, I think my answer to this question is the same as yours. So we are not too old.
Period.
What is too old, by the way? I mean, we just entered our 30s, again, like I mentioned earlier. No, there's not something that we cannot do because we are too old. I think the sky's the limit. Sometimes I do find myself asking, am I too old for this? Or is this for younger
For what
people?
example?
For example, clothes or for it. That is very...
Crop tops.
Exactly. You read my mind. Yeah. So it's so silly,
Yeah.
right? That is just the only silly question that sometimes I find myself asking to myself. I think that overall, when you grow older, just your habits and what you do with your friends, just those change and the priorities change as well. And that's when, okay, you can still go to the discotheque and stay up until 4 o'clock.
Do you still have discotheque in Italy?
I used to go to discotheques.
No, but now do you still have?
I think there are, but not so many. But I used to go to discotheques, and on a Saturday, for example, Saturday night or Friday night. But if it's a Saturday night, for example, and you go to the discotheque, of course you can go. Like, you are not too old for that. But if Monday morning you need to be at work at 8 or you have a big deadline, there's is where your priorities shift. you can still go there and then it's fine. But then you know that maybe Sunday you're not so sharp, and maybe also not on Monday.
You gotta live with a
Or you
hangover.
choose to say, yeah, I'm gonna
Pass.
pass, and that is more important for my career or whatever. So it's really about setting priorities. Sometimes if people have kids, yeah, you can spend time with friends, but I don't need necessarily to go out in a club or in a pub to have a drink with friends. I can also do it at home and just a couple of hours and call it a night. You know, you don't have to go always be so extreme to stay up for hours and hours.
No,
in the
but
night,
you know what's funny to me? You call it extreme. But when you're 20s, it's not extreme.
No, that's true. So I think that's the other thing. No, definitely. No, we are not too old.
Besides crop top,
I refuse
yeah.
to believe that.
Yeah. All right. So to kind of sum up just a bit of what we're talking about, the big 3-0 and whatnot, what is your overall perspective about being 30?
I'm very, very, very excited about what this decade can bring us. Can bring me, can bring you, you know. I think that this age or this decade is the sweet spot between being still too young and too old, which is also not too old if you're 40 or 50, right? But it's more really the sweet spot where you have enough independency, money-wise, you have heightened wisdom or more wisdom than in your 20s based on the experiences that you had. So yeah, definitely there is a scary component about what will happen, you know.
Yeah,
what
but
we
you
talked
already
about
had that
before,
when you were
right?
20. Yeah.
No, that's true, but the pressure that we just talked about, right? Like biological clock, for example. But I'm really up for living this decade at its fullest. So that's something that looking forward to it. What about you, Marsh?
It's the same as you. I'm actually very, very, very excited about being 30. I am finally at the age where I am so unapologetic about who I am.
I love it.
And
I love it.
Yeah. And I felt like when I turned 30 or when I'm approaching 30, I realized that a lot of the things that has been burdening me or that I'm struggling with is more of a self-inflicted struggles or burdens. I always care so much about other people, what other people think. I don't even know
the opinion of others.
I don't even know if it's true or not. I don't know. And I think when I approached 30, I just realized that everyone is just busy with their own lives. I'm finally there, and I just love the feeling of just, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I am very unapologetic about it.
I'm proud, actually, to be old.
Yeah, exactly. Call it what you want, but for me, it's not. It's not old, or it's just no matter how cliche it is a number, and I'm proud to say I'm 30.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Coming to the end of this episode, I have a closing question for you, Mars. If you can talk, or if you could talk to your 20-year-old self, what is the advice you'll give her in regards to career and life?
Your career doesn't define you. That's one of the things I would like to instill in her head, that status, label, hierarchy, it doesn't mean anything.
Amazing.
Your work is only a part of your life and not your entire life. That's really the two biggest things that I realized in terms of career, that it took me this long to realize it, but still, I'm just happy that I still got here. About life in general, I want her to take time to get to know herself. You can never take care of others if you are not well taken care of. And the only person that would fully do that is yourself. You could never love others if you don't love yourself. I know you've heard it a million times, but putting a time and effort in getting to know yourself, like how you would get to know your best friend, would be the best thing that you can do for your future self. And one last thing is that don't expect things to just fall on your lap
from the sky.
Magically. Yeah.
Nobody's handing you anything, you know. You need to go and grab it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's not that I was lazy or not doing the hard work when I was younger. It's just that more of accepting that even though you put in the hard work, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the prize. You have to accept the fact that things don't work out. And it's okay. It was very, very hard for me to let go of things or just get the idea that there are some things I cannot control. It's very, very hard for me. I want to give that as a lesson to my 20-year-old self that you cannot control things. So as early as you can, try to accept that things are just things. They don't necessarily have to have a reason, but it just happens and you have to accept the fact. Yeah, it was a lot, but yeah. How about you? What would you tell your 20-year-old Alisa?
For me, it's very simple. Make the choices that feel good to you and care less of what other things. And that's both in life, and that
in careers and
includes
life.
also career, of course. I think I always, and sometimes I still do, so it's something that I need to get better at still, but care less of what other people think of whatever choices you make. You know, it's your choice. If it feels good to you, go for it, you
Perfect,
know?
yeah.
So really care less of what the opinion of others.
Short and sweet. So, to end this episode, we have to, of course, end it with a good note about the Netherlands and our life in the Netherlands.
Yes.
So, all right. Of course, we always try to end this episode with a good note. So, I wanted to ask you, what is the most Dutch thing you ate this week?
Well, by chance, this week I did eat pannenkoeken.
Oh, for people who doesn't know, what is pannenkoeken?
It's a sort of French crepe. Yeah, and you can put any sort of filling actually in it, on it. So both sweet or savory. So I just kind of slice it into a kind of pizza slice type of.
But that's not a Dutch thing.
That's not a Dutch thing. That's not. You usually roll it. So
Yeah.
that Dutch people actually roll it. That's so Italian of me to make slices, pizza slices out of it.
Slices, yeah.
But well, it was delicious. And you, Marsh?
I had the simple AVG. AVG.
Oh wow,
for some.
that's next level.
Yeah, AVG is aardappelen, vlees en groente, so potatoes, meat and vegetables. So I had that.
That's very typical meal.
Yeah, very typical
You
meal.
have to eat AVG.
Yeah, so AVG. So I only usually had it once per week when I'm not eating at home. So I had AVG. So it's very Dutch, yes. So we had boiled beans, just boiled beans. It's, I don't know, sometimes it's still a bit sad, but okay.
A bit of salt, maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe. But there's no salt, but I have to put it myself. But anyway, so I had boiled beans, chicken with mushroom and cream as the vlees, and aardappel, baked potatoes, basically.
Simple but delicious.
Simple but delicious, yes. We're gonna close the episode for today, all about big 3-0 and being 30s and whatnot. So again, we would like to thank you for spending your time with us.
Super thanks.
Yes, and we are very, very much hoping to see you guys again next time for the 5th episode.
Is that a good
so
one?
White.
That's overexposed, but
very
we
exposed,
love
but
it. We love it, guys.
We always love it. Like, come on. So yeah, again, thank you so much.
Super
and,
thanks and do.
Bye.